Hello and welcome to another episode of Sportscast Jersey. Today I'm joined by Jersey Bulls manager Elliot Powell. How are you doing, Elliot?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Good. We're just having a bit of a pre-season kind of chat ahead of Jersey Bulls' new season. First kind of question I've got for you, Elliot, is the actual decision to take the job. Obviously, you've had a good few years with St. Peter. Was it the right time to take that next step for you?
Yeah, I think going into that last season at St. Peter's, everyone was kind of aware that it was going to be mine and Gartz's last season, or certainly mine at least. After the long summer that we'd had with the Island Games, it was difficult to go again. So we had such a good season in the Upton year as well that it felt like maybe we'd taken the team as far as we could. But then actually really delighted with how that season ended. Winning the cups that we hadn't managed to win across our time there. So yeah, I think it was definitely the right decision to move on. Enjoyed the time there. Some wonderful people at that club. I think in particular, kind of the support that I had from Peter Fleury, John Welsh, Jim Mashon, Brian Fulser, Nigel Godfrey. Kind of those people in particular were really big influences on certainly my opportunities that I got there, and the support they gave was invaluable. I think as well, kind of looking now, it's obviously disappointing. Maybe some of the reaction to us leaving. I don't think it's maybe been quite as positive as me and Garts would have liked, and in particular, kind of from our point of view, we're a little bit upset with how that exit has been viewed by some members of the club. Clearly, the people I've just mentioned, have stayed really supportive of it, but disappointed with maybe some of the mudslinging that's happened since, and it maybe tarnishes a little bit kind of the 4 years there. But yeah, don't have time to really worry about that too much now. I think I've been presented with this really exciting opportunity, one that I've made no secret about since that Island Games. It's an opportunity that I'd like to take, and obviously with Gary's decision to step down after 5 really good years at the club, it was an opportunity I didn't want to pass up, and really grateful for the trust that the board have placed in me and the coaching team to take it on.
Yeah, definitely. You mentioned Gary there. Have you kind of spoken to him before since being appointed, and have you asked him any questions about the job itself as well?
Be honest, no, we haven't had too much dialogue. I think keen to do it in my own way. I think Gary was really supportive when I was the Jersey FA manager, and our dialogue was quite good through that period when we were both managing the same sort of players. So no, there hasn't been much dialogue since then. I think maybe for all parties it was best for a clean break on that. Gary's got a really exciting venture up at St Brelade's now to focus on as well, so I don't want to be taking up too much of his time. So no, we've relied on the intel of the lads, people like James Kerry, Luke Watson, Luke Campbell, Jay Giles, Johnny Kane, using those senior heads to give us that intel that maybe went with the old coaching team. But I wish Gary and Kev, Richard, everyone involved, all the success up at St Brelade's, and thank them for the platform that they've given us to build upon, and the solid foundations that they've put in place.
Yeah, definitely. I want to touch on the coaches that you brought, and obviously you've seen a few kind of voices on Twitter and what have you saying, why do you need so many and etc.
Mhm.
But do you want to kind of explain the reasons why you brought in the kind of faces that you have and the number of faces as well?
Yeah, explain why we brought in half the island as a coaching team. No, well, firstly, I think Ian and Russell would be balked at the fact that we might have to take 2 squads away essentially to each away game with the coaching team, and then the lads actually pulling the kit on. From our perspective, kind of seen maybe towards the back end of last season, saw the effects that the draining season had on Kevin Gary. They kind of started to talk about being tired, and take the kind of exploits of that season taking its toll. So from my perspective, I was really keen to have a broader coaching group that could try and share the load a little bit more. A lot was placed on Gary, Kev, obviously Dan as well, and Richard too. But 4 people basically running that whole thing it just felt like a bit too much for us to take on. And clearly as well, long-time assistant and good mate Garts has had a life-changing experience of having his daughter Isla. So Garts is commitment wasn't going to be able to be in the first instance as much as maybe it had been at St. Peter's. So we needed to diversify the coaching team a little bit more and make sure that was spread out and it wasn't just falling on one or two people's shoulders. So from our perspective, bringing Adam in, someone who's been a manager in his own right, who knows the local league exceptionally well, has worked with some of these players before as well. Obviously a very qualified coach too. Just a fresh voice. It freshens Gart's and I up. It gives us something else to think about. And Adam's hit the ground running as well in that regard. So Adam's been a great addition. We were really keen as well on having quite a big interdisciplinary team. So not just focusing on the grass part of it. And Jan Bentley, Dylan Bunell, Andy Dewhurst looking after the performance side of things. So Jan on the physical side, Dylan on the tactical analysis side has been really, really helpful, especially through pre-season, managing workloads, looking at opposition team footage, looking at our own footage, kind of those 1%ers that maybe get overlooked at other times have been a massive thing for us within the JFA setup, and it's something we were really keen to implement with the Bulls as well and try and professionalize the environment even more than it already was. And then wider than that as well, we got Steve Martin retained in his physio role on a match day, and that's great for Steve. Hopefully, be able to do a little bit more than he has done previously in terms of commitments from his own perspective as well. And then maybe the big one that people wouldn't know about quite as much is Kai Stephenson. To have a coach of Kai's caliber is something we're extremely fortunate for. We're working hard to make sure that we can retain his services now, and some exciting opportunities with kind of goalkeeping coaching on the island that Kai could potentially bring some skill sets to Jersey in as well. So we're working really hard on that one. Kai's just been appointed the under-16 to under-21 Danish national team goalkeeper coach as well. So he comes with an awful lot of ability and credentials. And I think Pierce and Ewan have massively benefited from his kind of hard school coaching over the pre-season period. And he keeps himself in pretty good nick as well. So I think we'll sign him on as well. And he'll be take Rich's role of being sub-keeper on away days too. So yeah, delighted to have Kai on board, and really important that we can retain him through the season as well.
Yeah, definitely. And well said. I think it's important to have that many people in and around. Like you say, when some can be there, some can't. So you need that backup and that kind of depth. In terms of players, obviously it's a strong squad, and you've worked with a lot of them during the Island Games, the Marathi. So how good a time is it to come in now? Obviously, I've seen there's a few of the faces that have been with the Bulls from the start, like Cayman, like Ruben, who've moved on, and then some have come in, like James Sunley, Toby Ritzim has come back. So how good a time is it to come into and then coach and take on these players?
Yeah, I think, just touching on Cayman and Ruben, both incredible servants for the club, and obviously personal circumstances have maybe dictated that they're not going to be involved this year in terms of Ruben moving away. Cayman's job situation changing where he couldn't commit on a weekly basis, and really keen on having a smaller core squad, a wider training squad, but that are able to commit on a regular basis, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. And that simply didn't work for Cayman at the moment. And that's not to say that it won't work in future, but just setting our stall out, that's where we wanted the lads to be, and communicated that with Cayman. And hopefully he always knows that if that opportunity changed, then knows where I am. But yeah, to then have that chance to freshen up some of those phases has been massive. Not gonna lie about it. It was something that I was really keen on doing, just throwing in some new faces. Again, I've been fortunate, and sometimes it's right place, right time, which I've been quite lucky through my coaching career in as well. But to have the likes of James Sunley, Ryder Santos, Toby Ritzma all available in the same summer is a massive help. There's no getting away from that. And I'm sure if they were available last year, they'd have been involved last year. So that's not anything special that we've done. We've been in the right place at the right time, and now it's about maximising their abilities. But I think all three, having played at a higher level, all three have represented Jersey through the age group. Toby, obviously, at a senior level as well. They bring a massive abundance of experience of the National League system, but also quality. And that quality is going to be imperative if we're going to make that a little bit of a difference to get over the line this year.
Yeah. In terms of pre-season, obviously you've had a good few weeks now with the squad, with the players, and a few games as well. So how has pre-season looked, and how happy are you going into Saturday?
Yeah, I think as with every preseason, every manager probably say the same, that they want maybe another week on the training pitch, just to firm up a couple of bits. You always feel like there's one or two things that maybe you haven't done as much on that you would like to do. But then at the same point, just absolute gagging for a game. So we've obviously had quite a difficult preseason in terms of calibre of opposition. We were disappointed with the result against the Arthurian League in the Bulls Cup on the first day. But then on, Wythenshawe step 4, and just got promoted ahead of Bury. So big club for that level, and we played really well that day and got one more draw. Obviously lost on pens, but that was a pleasing result, pleasing performance. And then the Stevenage game, I think, against the League One opposition, we never played that calibre of opposition in Jersey to go toe to toe with them. I thought for large periods of the game, and we've given away sloppy goals, but actually we didn't allow Stevenage to create too much. We were really happy with that, and that Stevenage experience for me, from a coaching perspective, was massive that week. Being able to watch the guys train, had really good conversations with Alex and his coaching team at Stevenage as well, and learned an awful lot just in those kind of 3 or 4 days, and I think the players did as well. So yeah, we're hoping now that kind of tough test has put us in a good position for this first hectic week where we go Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, and hopefully against opposition where we're going to have a lot more of the ball. We're going to be able to get on the front foot a lot more, and that's been the messaging all season. How can we hurt teams more than we maybe have done in the past? I think maybe those that watched the Marathi would have seen that. We thought it was the most open Marathi we've had for a number of years in terms of both teams going at it. I thought we were a better team on the day, but I really want to make sure that, especially at Springfield, where teams come and they sit in and it's difficult, really getting on the front foot, punishing them where we can, both with the ball and without the ball, physically punish them as well. And I think that we've seen some good signs in pre-season that we can do that, especially out of possession, and hopefully in the next week we'll see that in possession work come through as well.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of expectations for the season, obviously, it's hard to say right from the start, and a lot of managers will say game by game. But what are the realistic expectations that you set within the squad?
Yeah. Obviously, the cliche of game by game is kind of peddled out maybe too much, but it is important. We're maybe looking slightly further afield than that, kind of taking kind of week by week, and obviously got 3 games in a week, and trying to rotate through them, through those fixtures, try and keep people fresh, make sure we're not getting too many daft injuries early in the season, etc. But across the whole season, we're really clear that we expect to be in and around the playoffs. We're hoping that there's not another Farnham that chuck a load of cash at it and do phenomenally well and go up at a canter. And if there isn't, we think we can be challenging for that top place as well. But the absolute minimum is playoffs. And if we get to in and around it come April, May time, I've seen enough of these lads in big games across those Marathis, across the island games, to know that we can have a game plan, we can execute that, we can turn over teams that maybe on paper are better than us, or maybe have got more resources than us, etc. But we can definitely turn those teams over, and if we get in and around it, I'm pretty confident we can get promotion this year, which is clearly, that's what the club's geared up for. That's what Ian, the board, Russell, etc. They want step 4 football as quickly as we can. So yes, we're in transition. Yes, there's going to be ups and downs through the season. Hopefully we can start quickly. It's something we want to improve on from last year. I think it was 3 points out of the first 9 available last year. We want to improve on that in this first week, but get up to step 4 as quickly as we can. We've got a 2-year plan to make sure that happens, but I'm fairly confident it can happen in year 1 as well if we get things right and get off that fast start.
Yeah. Personally, and with Garts, Adam, how excited are you as well? Obviously, you've all coached in Jersey. You've all coached fairly known opposition. So how excited are you guys personally as well to step into this league and really challenge yourselves against maybe opposition you don't know as well?
Yeah, I think I've got a little bit more of a taste of it than the other 2 guys from time in Preston, but albeit at a lower level. And I think that really challenges you. We've done an awful lot, and credit to Dylan Buno, he's done an awful lot of digging behind the scenes to try and get as much intel as we can on other teams. Obviously, our social media is great, and all the YouTube clips we put out is great, but that does mean that teams have more of an access to what we're doing. So although if they've watched the Stevenage game, they probably haven't seen us have the ball for much time at all. So maybe we've still got the unknown element of surprise on that. But no, Dylan's done a great job. We've done a little bit of digging, but yeah, coming up against those teams, we're going to have to find each other out in the first 10, 15 minutes. I think it was something we were really effective at in the Ireland games, of 10, 15 minutes getting to grips with it and then adjusting from then on. And that's where the squad's going to be important as well. If we're going to pick, in a starting 11, but after 10, 15 minutes, you might realise actually this isn't the most effective. And that's where the quality off the bench is going to be vital. And that's where being tactically adaptable is going to be really important as well. And we've been really happy with how the lads have shown some of that flexibility and adaptability. It's a different way of playing to what they may be used to, or slightly different. It's not radically different. It's not a three at the back as an example. It's not massively reinventing the wheel, but just different expectations or different patterns of play. But they've started adjusting really well to it. And obviously we've had a little bit of an insight into these guys, and they've had an insight into us beforehand as well. So it hasn't been completely starting from ground zero, but we're happy with how we've built, and now it's just about delivering on match day one.
Yeah. Final kind of question. Obviously, with Bulls comes a bit of a fan zone and fan kind of base as well. How excited are you to be at Springfield every other game and really take in that atmosphere as well?
Yeah, again, something that I was acutely aware of in the Marathi, that when I was making a decision to go for it on a full-time basis, I was really keen to have that opportunity in front of a big kind of partisan home crowd. And obviously we'd had the Ireland games away where it was a great away contingency. We'd had some experience of crowds, etc., with St. Peter's a little bit, but that Marathi was something special, and something that I'm really keen to now have on a more regular basis. I think just early signs of the level of commitment of some of the supporters as well. We know that there's people travelling over to the Spelthorne game as well, and whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20, it makes a massive difference for us just to see those jersey flags behind the goal and people cheering us on makes a huge difference. And really grateful for everyone's commitment that they make. It's obviously not cheap following Jersey Bulls away from home, but then especially those home games, they're going to be special events. And obviously in the early days as well, we've got that novelty factor for all of us that haven't been involved in it before. My parents travelling down to the game on Saturday, my dad coming over for the first home game as well. My brother, I'm sure, will be watching from Preston. I know Gartz's family are coming down to the first home game, and special things like that. They're what you're kind of in it for, the memories that you make from it, and really grateful for all the support that we receive on a weekly basis back home and in the UK.
Yeah, definitely. Elliot, thank you, and good luck to yourself, Gartz, and the rest of the team for the season.
Perfect. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys. And thank you to everyone that has watched or listened to this episode. Another episode of Sportscast Jersey is coming soon.